They say African culture is patriarchal, that it silences women, glorifies men, and calls it tradition.
But is that the truth? Or just a story we've been told, rewritten, repackaged, and repeated until we started believing it ourselves?
Today we are going to peel back the layers of history, culture, and colonial influence to ask one question that has shaken the internet. Is African culture truly misogynistic or just misunderstood?
When we talk about Igbo patriarchal system, people know they understand the depth of what it means. Now let me now break the depth of what Igbo patriarchy can do to a woman. You see, as I did now, as an Igbo girl, I didn't follow my husband, also all the hustle for this world, make him everything he is in this world, dip my life for that man. But if I not born man picking, everything that I worked for with my husband will be taken from me. Nothing will be left for me. Make una follow me, make I explain now. As an Igbo girl that is going to marry an Igbo man, God forbid I will not do it. Everything that I work for is automatically my husband's the moment he marry me. If my husband decides to drag everything where I get with me, call kinsmen, that's umunna. Umunna go outrightly give am everything when me don't work for to ram. That is why you see me. I know they follow Igbo man. I know they near Igbo man. I don't speak to Igbo men. I do not care the level you are. You see, as I did now, I feel help my papa build everything from bottom to the top. But the moment my father go, everything is assigned to his sons. Then when I gained this knowledge, I started building my own life. My papa they invest for me, say I'm not going to do anything when it comes to him. Because I realized say, everything when concern my papa, they go to him boys. So now me they work for myself, I know they work for him. The day my father even find out that I make my own sister the next of kin. Problem their house. That is how bad Igbo patriarchy is. Sister when they born me with him, I make her the next of kin. My papa begin quarrel. Because to him, my sister don't get any right or entitlement to my property. Now my brothers, now get the right and the entitlement to my properties. You can see how deep and how wicked Igbo patriarchy is to women. Your life is
So guys, I have a theory that Igbo girls born outside Igbo land are an enemy of Igbo. Because tell me why every Eke market day, one Achikote Kwano from nowhere will come out to tell us, I am an Igbo woman, but Igbo men are misogynistic. Igbo men are this. I am Igbo but... Nay. You have so many options. You can go for Hausa, Fulani, or wherever you want to go for. We don't care. Leave Igbo men alone. Leave them for us like that. You can't be speaking about Igbo culture when you were not raised or born in Igbo land. You can't even speak Igbo. You can't even cook Igbo food. And you're saying I am an Igbo woman. Igbo woman what? You're not an Igbo woman, girl. And also, on the issue of inheritance, I inherited properties from my grandfather. I inherited shops from him. I inherited land from him. Same as my sister as well. So the reason why you did not get anything is because your family have nothing. Stop generalizing your ideology on other women. Igbo people are not patriarchy or patriarchal. I don't give a damn. We are not misogynistic. But if you think we are, it's because we are superior. Yes, I said it.
Let's be honest. Patriarchy exists in many African societies. Men often hold power in politics, inheritance, and religious leadership. But calling African culture misogynistic assumes that's all to the story.
Long before colonialism, many African societies practiced what researchers and scholars call gender complementarity. Men and women had different roles, but both were essential to the African society. The Igbo had Omu and even female kings. In fact, if you remember, the first king of Ogwashuku was Odaibo, who took over from Odaibo. His daughter, Odu. The same thing in Ubuluku. The first king of Ubuluku was Ezemu, our father. But who took over from Ezemu? The daughter, Ozilebu. So we have had Omu, queen of the market, head of the economy of the community, and female kings. We even have roles like Nobolo and other important prominent positions that women occupied in the African society of old, before colonialism. The Akan people traced their lineage through the mother. The Yoruba worshipped both male and female deities, Ogun and Oshun, side by side, to show their reverence for the female and the male. They even have people like Moreni, who they also revere so much, a woman. So the traditional African society did not in any way relegate women to the background. There were roles for men and roles for women.
Power wasn't male. It was shared.
Yes, that's very powerful. Power wasn't male. Neither was power also female. It was shared. The voices of African women mattered, and it still matters. It shows that conversation was never one-sided. It's a dialogue between past and the present, between respect and reform. But then came colonialism. Europe brought new systems, new laws, new churches, and new definitions of gender. New gender roles were now assigned.
The Victorian worldview didn't just redraw Africa's borders. It redrew our gender balance. Women who once held markets and rituals were now told to stay home. Traditional roles were labeled uncivilized. African men were made middlemen between colonizers and communities, and that's how patriarchy deepened its roots.
I agree with you, because the colonizers were actually working closely with the men while their wives stayed at home. This is truly how patriarchy gained roots in Africa. Otherwise, the African society had a system whereby the men do this, the women do that. The men cultivate yam, women cultivate your cassava and cocoyam.
Yes.
There were roles for men and roles for women. In fact, there are things that men don't dabble into. There are cultural rights that are only meant for women to perform. So the African traditional society did not in any way relegate women to the background. There was a balance. As you said earlier, power was shared. Power was not male, neither was power female. Until these colonizers came and assigned this role of assisting the colonizers as middlemen. It was assigned mainly to the men, because traditionally it would be assigned to the men. The women who followed them would be assumed that they are running after the white man. So the roles were assigned mainly to the men, making society now patriarchal. Ironically, the African patriarchy that people condemn today often carries more of Europe's fingerprints than Africa's. As we said earlier, these things are not ours, it is theirs. And today they are criticizing it.
Of course, we are not here to sugarcoat it. Misogyny is real. In homes, in politics, in culture. It shows up in harmful practices, from forced marriages to widowhood rights, and even how girls are raised.
But these aren't the soul of African culture. They are the scars of our history. A mix of colonial distortion, religious misinterpretation, and broken systems. Real African culture values balance, community, and mutual respect. When that balance is lost, what we get isn't culture anymore. It's corruption of culture. Among the Igbos of Nigeria and every part of the world, women have always held powerful spaces in trade, spirituality, and family governance. In fact, it is the women that are in charge of markets in every community. So women are in charge of the economy of every community. Titles like Omu and Yum, as we have them today, aren't just symbolic, and they weren't symbolic. They carry real influence, even over men. Because come to think of it, do you know that the Omu has as many chiefs as the king of the community has? The Omu has the power to appoint chiefs. I remember one of my uncles then. His name is Anawu. He was a chief to a particular Omu. So the Omus have their own chiefs, who can even be men in their midst. Most of the men are the ones who help them to carry out enforcement in the market. So the Omu and the Yum were women who were very much revered. We even had positions like Nobolo, a woman spiritualist whose job is to cleanse the community every day and do what they call morning cry in the Christian faith today.
In traditional Igbo life, Women ruled the markets, the economic heartbeat of the community. They were judges in disputes, custodians of family wealth, and mediators in crisis.
My wife has spoken like an economist, truly, that she is. Women were the ones who really held the economy of the Igbo society as Omu of every community. And when colonial powers tried to silence them, women rose. The about women's protest and resistance of 1929 wasn't just about us. It was about the women's voice being subdued, and they said, no, we need to speak up. We also have the Ekumeku resistance in western part of Igbo land, led by people like Nwanoli, who was noble at the time. In fact, one of the things that were done to immortalize Nwanoli is to name a school after her when finally we accepted the colonial masters. It was the first women's revolution in modern Africa.
Yet, over time, urbanization and Western education sidelined these roles. Many Igbo men began to see women's leadership as rebellion, not partnership.
But across the diaspora, in London, New York, and Johannesburg, Igbo women are reclaiming the space once again, not to compete with men, but to complete the culture.
Across the continent, women are reclaiming their place, not by rejecting culture, but by reviving its original spirit.
From the Akan queens of Ghana to Nigerian feminist thinkers like Obioma Nnemeka and Catherine Acholonu, who is no longer with us, a new conversation is emerging. It's not African versus feminist. It is African and feminism.
Because true African feminism doesn't tear down culture. It reclaims it. It reminds us that the ancestors never built systems to silence one half of the sky.
African culture is not the enemy. It's the language of our identity. But like every language, it must evolve.
Maybe the real question isn't, is African culture patriarchal? Maybe it's, how do we make it whole again?
If you believe culture can heal as much as it can hurt, then
please subscribe, share this video, and join us every week as we uncover the stories that define who we are, beyond stereotypes.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video you just watched, please look through our channel. You'll find other very interesting videos to watch from my wife.
Until we come your way again, for now, bye.